All right, back here with Capt Marty. We got some more great stories to tell. But Marty, I got a question for you before we get into this. Now, my dad, he fished with a lot of you guys back in the day, back in the 70s and whatnot, in the old Oregon Inlet fleet and everything. And he always said you guys were, with the Creeking Committee and some different stuff like that, y'all were quite the pranksters. Now, what do you consider one of the better pranks you've ever pulled on one of your fellow dock mates?
Well, I didn't actually pull it, but I witnessed it.
Okay.
And when you hear the story, I'm glad I wasn't one of the guilty party. But we'll go back. This is going back into the late 70s. And I'm so blessed to have been passed through that era in the fleet at Oregon Inlet with the legends, Omie Tillett, Tony Tillett, and Lee Perry. But Lee, I'll tell you more about him and the prank that got played on him when I come back.
When it comes to general maintenance or major modifications on your diesel vehicle, look no further than Wanchi's Off-Road Diesel Performance in Kill Devil Hills. Master mechanic Ryan Walker developed the plan for having his own auto shop over 20 years ago, and today he owns the premium diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks. To have him and his crew take a look under your hood, give him a call today at 252-715-0025 or find him on social media. Wanchi's Off-Road Diesel Performance, the diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks.
Hi, I'm LB Daniels, and when you want great local seafood, you go to Fresh Catch Seafood in Wanchi's. How do I know it's great? My daddy is one of the fishermen that brings it to the docks. At Fresh Catch Seafood, you will get local seafood right from their fish house. They are a family-owned business that knows the name of every fisherman that comes to their docks. Visit their social media pages to see the latest catches. My daddy would love to put his tuna on your dinner plate, so get it now from Fresh Catch Seafood in Wanchi's.
My pastor, Gerald Craddock, when he preaches, always says, paint this picture in your mind. I've
heard him say that one or two times.
Put yourself at the scene, and that's what I'm going to ask you listeners to do today. There was a big cold front came in the fall of the year. So at Oregon Inlet, there's an east side and a west side of the dock. The west side is where all the veteran captains are. And when you come in new to the fleet, you are put over on the east side. You have to earn your way around to the west side.
Okay.
In that stretch of dock was Omie Tillett, the father of our fleet, I say. His brother, Tony Tillett, one of the best fishermen. He's still down there fishing in Oregon Inlet on the Carolinian. Lee Perry tied up right between the two brothers. And then there were other people like Sam Stokes, Billy Baum, Harry Baum, that whole crowd. What a great time to be alive and be on the docks. But we had a Lee Perry. You'd have to know him. He was a little bit on the short side, probably like 5'8", stocky, had Coke bottle thick glasses, and spoke with a lisp. But I'm not making fun of that. It's part of his character, part of his personality. But he had an older boat and a much slower boat, which is still around here. And it was down on the Manio waterfront last summer. Mm-hmm. It's been completely rebuilt by the family that still owns it. But anyway, this big blow comes. So first day of the blow, everybody's hanging around the dock and doing stuff. And Lee had gone home. So a whole bunch of us were sitting over on Omie Tillett's boat right next to his. There was John Bayliss and Mike Merritt and myself and maybe Dickie Harris, and everybody was just chatting and killing the morning. The charters had already been sent home because it was too rough. And we looked at the weather map, and it looked like we were going to have 3 or 4 days of bad weather. So I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you up front, one of the group that I just mentioned said, we need to play a joke on Lee. And Omie Tillett, as our senior member, you would have thought he'd say, "Now, boys, be careful." No, he's like, "Okay, let's do it." So they went up into the fish house, and all the tunas had been cleaned the day before. And there was just tuna carcasses, but there were some small sharks in there. You know what the little dog sharks are? They're about 3 feet long, maybe 10 pounds. And one of the guilty party, I probably shouldn't mention him by name, but he went up there and got a small shark. They brought it down there. Since Lee Perry was not on his boat, he had gone up to Kitty Hawk, gone home. Mm-hmm. They climbed on his boat. They opened the fish box lid. They took a piece of fishing leader and wired the tail of that shark to the underneath side of the fish box lid handle where the bolts came through.
Oh, gosh.
And then shut the lid. So underneath that lid was a 3-foot long dog shark on day one. On this morning, they were all, everybody was laughing. They were thinking, when he comes down here to go fishing tomorrow, he'll open that up and we'll be out in the ocean somewhere and and joke played. Well, the only problem with that was nobody went fishing the next day. And nobody went fishing the next day after that or the next day after that. It was it was the fourth day, and nobody even thought about that. Everyone said, surely he probably found that thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, he hadn't. I'll tell you when he did find it when we come back. Are you ready for a fishing thrill like no other?
Oh, there he is! There he is! Oh, got him up!
As seen on WikiTune at Outer Banks, the Carolina Girl, captained by majestic Jesse Anderson, is a custom, luxurious 53-foot Jarrett Bay built boat running out of Hatteras Harbor Marina. Let Jesse and her crew give you a fishing experience of a lifetime. To book a trip, go online to CarolinaGirlSportFishing.com. Carolina Girl Sport Fishing, your offshore adventure awaits. So on day 5, we're all by the same group of people back down there. We all climbed back on the sports with Omie Tillett's boat. And all of a sudden, I think it was John Bayliss said, did Lee Perry ever find that shark on his boat? And they're like, oh my gosh, we forgot. It's probably still in that fish box. It's a 4 or 5 day blow. Yeah. Nobody's been even at the boat. Well, about that time, here come Lee Perry driving in the parking lot. Perfect timing.
Oh, Lord.
And he goes down, he climbs on the boat. And everybody's talking to him, and when he got on the boat, he said he talked with the list, but we all loved him for it. But he said he called everybody old boy, what is that smell in the air? What is that smell? And we're all like, oh no, that shark is still in that fish box. But he didn't figure it out. He didn't go back there. And finally, John Bayliss had a cassette tape recorder, and he went and got it out of his truck. And he brought it down there and turned on the mic, and that tape still exists. He still has that.
Oh my gosh!
Cassette tape. But finally, with Omie and Tony and Mike Merritt, myself and others sitting on the boat, Omie said, "Hey Lee," or Deepwater. You always called each other by your boat. Yep. Hey Deepwater, what kind of handle you got on that fish box? So that looks like a good fish box handle. And Lee was on the oldest, slowest boat in the fleet. He went in. You got that right. It's sodded, not solid. Sodded brass. It's sodded brass. Oh boy, and he grabbed that fish box handle to brag on the solid brass. And when he did, he snatched the lid open to show everybody how and when it did, that old rotten shark came out on the end of that little piece of line and just got him right across the chest. And it had maggots all over it. It was awful.
Marty.
Awful. And you talk about a man blowing his stack. He did, and all of us were like, oh, this was worse than what we were expecting. So he knew that it was somebody in that group of men that had played the joke, but nobody would dare give up who was really a guy that's a famous boat builder in Wanchese now.
Okay.
But anyway, so he was mad, and everybody said that was a little bit overboard for a practical joke. Anyway, the next day we all went fishing, and we got out there fishing. When we got to the dock, Minna Meekins that ran the fishing said, you guys need to come up here. We have to have a meeting. And we got up there during the day. The State Bureau of Investigation called and asked Minna, do you have a Captain Perry there? And she said, yes, we do. She said, well, he's called and reported a crime on his boat. And he says, there's a shark in his fish box. And Minna was like, she knew right off the bat what had happened,
Oh, my Lord.
But he had called the SBI, and the SBI guy said, you think y'all could just work that out amongst yourselves?
My gosh.
Could you do that through management and not involve the SBI? Anyway, that's the way it ended up. And to this day, nobody really knows who put the fish box in his box. But that's probably the best practical joke that's ever been played at Oregon Inlet.